welcome back guys, it's the Raw Geek here. Let's start this one off with a bang, via a perfectly timed and placed landmine. So I finally got around to playing Battlefield 2042 recently, and I just want to say, this game is dead. Essentially, after one of the best sets of game trailers I've seen in a while, this Battlefield was a bit of a flop. Lots of people abandoned it in the first few months because of some of the most bizarre launch decisions ever. Battlefield is a first-person shooter against real people, yet out of a decision based on, it's the taking part that counts. There was no scoreboard to begin with. No scoreboard? What? A scoreboard isn't just about trying to show off, so it wasn't just amazing players, like myself, annoyed, because it helps people know if they're improving. It helps with a bit of rivalry, like, it's a competitive game. It's not an egg and spoon race. Save that weak sauce stuff for your story mode adventure games,
Got him! Target neutralized.
Oh, I'm sorry, you've got to give me a bit of credit for that one. A double kill, baby.
Hostile down.
Eventually, after a lot of pushback and complaints, they did bring in the scoreboard via an update, but only during the game. At the end of the round, it still doesn't show one, and it's completely inaccessible at that point. It's honestly a really odd decision. You can't even easily get to see who you played with for friend requests or anything. It also didn't help that at launch it was so badly optimised. I mean, I've got a pretty good PC, but it wouldn't run on 4K. Now, I don't need the in-game res to be set to 4K, just because that's my monitor's usual resolution, but come on, you'd like to think it would be possible. On high and ultra settings on 2K it was fine, but yeah, on 4K it would just grind to a halt.
Change.
Thankfully that's now sorted, and all this footage is 4K, though by the time YouTube's had its way of the video, it of course won't look as good as the raw recordings. And yes, at least the graphics are pretty, sure. It's definitely nice to look at, so some credit there at least. But several months on, it's still buggy as hell. I mean, don't get me wrong, weird glitches and stuff is kind of part of the DNA of Battlefield games, but some of this are just painful. Like the hitboxes up close sometimes are ridiculous, though at long distance you can oftentimes easily hit people if you have a good aim. It's quite inconsistent like that. And the clipping can be awful too. You can go prone on the ground shooting and it's just like hitting an invisible wall because it thinks you're inside the rock or something, yet somehow other people can see you and shoot you just fine. I'm sorry, but that's some straight up bullshit, my friends. And for a competitive game, it's also quite strange to have no voice chat. Yes, there's no voice chat in this game, and it's hard enough to get people to play as a team at the best at times, but without being able to communicate with your squad, if you'd like to, makes winning a map very difficult, as everyone ultimately ends up playing solo.
Down. Get me up from here! I can help. Safe. I'm fine. I can shoot. Hostile in the area. Hostile present.
Again, I have a feeling this is about abuse, and trying to be nice and that kind of stuff, and I, of course get that. But just give the option of muting people. It's really that simple.
We've lost control of an objective. Friendlies engaging at objective Charlie 2. Taken sector Charlie. Enemy has secured an objective. Every sector has fallen.
Now, the scoreboard and voice chat issues I mentioned should hopefully be being fixed in version 3.4, which they say is coming out very soon. They said early April, but it's not here yet. But will that be enough to convince people to come back? I hear they're already working on new Battlefield, as this one was just a mess. Don't get me wrong though, aside from a somewhat isolated experience, and lack of funny moments you usually create with your friends and players when you can easily communicate with them, there is still fun to be had. I've enjoyed blowing up vehicles and bossing soldiers, basically being a one-man army, just call me Rambo to be honest. And as I say, it's nice to look at. The sound's pretty good, and it still has a Battlefield feel to it. But just not like some of the previous ones, especially say Battlefield 4, because that's the one I probably sunk the most hours into, but of course I've played others. And that particular one I had probably the most silly fun in over the years. Maybe Battlefield 2 there was quite a lot of that, but yeah, Battlefield 4 was my kind of favourite one of the series really.
Troops targeting Bravo 1.
The most fun on Battlefield 2042 is probably going to Portal so you can actually browse the servers, because out of that screen it's just the whole annoying matchmaking stuff like you see in Battle Royale games, and because many have abandoned the game you can sometimes sit there waiting for an age. And also it's because of the different modes. Obviously you can do things like snipers only or put hardcore modifiers on, and I particularly like playing it when it's got 500% damage, because then it's kind of realistic, as in only takes 1 or 2 bullets to down someone. As you can see in this footage, it can be pretty cool though. Like, there is fun to it, right? It's still a fun game, it's just quite quiet. So I think I will wait and see what the update does, what it brings, if it, fixes those issues and some other players come back. But honestly, I think this game just might be a bit dead on arrival. What about you? Have you got this game? If you do, are you enjoying it? Or are you just waiting for the next one already? Let me know down below. whilst I blow up this helo. And I'll see you in the next video. Okay, bye. Guys, if you're still here, you're awesome! But as you are still here, why not check out some of my other videos? Oh, and if you haven't already, please click subscribe. Laters, haters.